Hello guys, who do you think is the player who has played the most in the Premier League? In this legendary league, which is called the best football league in the world, we have listed the footballers who have labored the most. Gareth Barry holds the Premier League record for the most appearances with 653 games played, but which players follow him in the top 10 rankings? We covered this topic in today's video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy watching. Number 10, Phil Neville, 505 Premier League appearances. In a game of top trumps between the Neville brothers, this would be one section where Phil comfortably comes out on top, having made 105 more appearances in the Premier League than Gary Neville. He also has the advantage when it comes to goals, Phil's 9 to Gary's 5. What a way to make a living, although assists do fall in Gary's favor, 35 to 25, as well as Premier League winners' medals, 8 to 6. Phil's transfer to Everton ahead of the 2005 to 2006 season led to many highlights, with the brothers refusing to engage with each other in the tunnel when both captaining their sides in the 4-4 draw at Old Trafford in 2012 that proved pivotal in the deciding the title race. Phil Neville made a total of 505 appearances for Manchester United and Everton and is 10th on the list. Number 9, Jamie Carragher, 508 Premier League appearances. Liverpool's all-time leading appearance maker in the Premier League, Jamie Carragher made his debut for the club when Roy Evans was in charge at Anfield, before being part of their success under Gerrard and Rafa Benitez. Although the Premier League title eluded him, Carragher's mantelpiece is loaded with a UEFA Champions League winner's medal, as well as 3 FA Cup triumphs. Famously, Carragher only scored 3 EPL goals for Liverpool during his career but did manage to turn the ball into the back of his own net on 7 occasions, joint second most in the competition's history. Jamie Carragher, who specializes in scoring own goals, has made a total of 508 appearances in the Premier League and is 9th on the list. Number 8, Mark Schwarzer, 514 Premier League appearances. Well, step right up, Mark Schwarzer, it's time for your moment to shine. The Australian is the only player, so far, in the history of the Premier League to have racked up 200 defeats, with 145 draws to his name as well, 54 of which were 0-0. It means Schwarzer left a Premier League stadium without winning 67.1% of the time. All bar 10 of his appearances came for Middlesbrough and Fulham as he became the first, and so far, only, non-British player to make over 500 appearances in the Premier League. He was part of 2 title-winning squads in back-to-back seasons, Chelsea and Leicester City, but he didn't play enough games to qualify automatically for a medal. Mark Schwarzer played 514 games and was 8th on the list. Number 7, Emile Heskey, 516 Premier League appearances. The first out-and-out forward on the list, Emile Heskey might be 7th when it comes to number of appearances in the Premier League, but his haul of 110 is only good enough for 26th on the list of all-time goalscorers. But where the former Leicester City, Liverpool, Birmingham City, Wigan Athletic and Aston Villa star proved his worth was by being one of the most unselfish players on the field, making decoy runs, holding up the ball for others and providing a fair share of assists, 53, ensured he won a place in the hearts of fans and teammates alike. None more so than Michael Owen, who sought his golden years, culminating in the 2001 Ballon d'Or, heavily supported by his Liverpool and England teammate Heskey, with the pair scoring 30 Premier League goals between them during the 2000 to 2001 season, as well as combining as part of England's famous 5-1 triumph over Germany when, yes, even Heskey scored. Number 6, Gary Speed, 535 Premier League appearances. James beat the record previously held by the late Gary Speed, for whom goals were plenty during his career, but they probably came no sweeter than on November 20, 1996. A boyhood Everton fan, his dream of playing for the club was realised when he moved to Goodison Park at the start of that season, before scoring the equaliser in the Merseyside derby in front of the Kop. The only hat-trick of his Premier League career also came while wearing his beloved blue in a 7-1 mauling of Southampton. But to talk about goals misses so much of what makes Speed a player still remembered fondly by many fans and former teammates from Leeds United, Everton, Newcastle United and Bolton Wanderers. A life gone far too soon following his death at the age of 42. Rest in peace, Gary. Number 5, David James, 572 Premier League appearances. Being the highest-ranked goalkeeper on this list might go some way to reducing the disappointment of not being the keeper with the most clean sheets in Premier League history. Only Petr Cech, 202, is ahead of David James, 169. James' first Premier League appearance, his debut for Liverpool, came on the opening weekend of the inaugural season following his transfer from Watford, starting against Nottingham Forest in the first ever Super Sunday match shown on Sky Sports. Unfortunately, this also makes him the first goalkeeper to concede a goal in a live televised Premier League match, with Teddy Sheringham putting the only goal of the game past him. This was the first of 665 goals he would concede in the Premier League for the Reds, Aston Villa, West Ham United, Manchester City and Portsmouth, which is also a record for the competition. James held the record for most Premier League appearances for a while before being overtaken by 4 players on the list. He also achieved the unusual feat of appearing in the competition as both a goalkeeper and an outfield player, having been thrown up front by Stuart Pearce as Manchester City chased down potential European qualification on the final day of the 2004-2005 season. They fell short following a 1-1 draw with Middlesbrough, with James unable to make an impact, even though he did concede 2 fouls in a Premier League game for the only time in his career. Number 4. Frank Lampard. 609 Premier League appearances. Frank Lampard came closest to matching Giggs' record for the most wins in the Premier League, 349, the first of which coming on his debut on January 31, 1996, as he made an 80th-minute substitute appearance against Coventry City for West Ham. A broken leg in the 1996-97 season delayed his breakthrough, but he returned in emphatic fashion the following campaign, scoring on the opening day of the season barely a minute after coming on as a substitute against Barnsley. It would be the first of 177 goals Lampard scored in the Premier League for West Ham United, Chelsea and Manchester City, including one in his final appearance against Southampton on the last day of 2014-15. A strike earlier in the season against former club Chelsea also produced possibly the greatest muted goal celebration in Premier League history. Number 3. Ryan Giggs. 632 Premier League appearances. Ryan Giggs made his league bow for Manchester United this season before the Premier League's inaugural campaign, so it's no surprise the winger ranks highly when it comes to overall appearances in the history of the competition. It's even less surprising that Giggs has more assists, 162, than anyone else, some 51 clear of his nearest rival, Cesc Fabregas. Despite scoring 109 goals during his Premier League career, Giggs never netted a hat-trick in his 632 appearances, even though he did manage 11 braces. He only needed 5 appearances to net his first goal in the competition, but failed to find the back of the net in his last 20 in the Premier League. Having won 13 Premier League titles with Manchester United during his career, Giggs has comfortably won more games than any other player in Premier League history, 407, and when you look at that in the context of United's victories total, 726, correct as of July 2023, in the competition, it means the Welshman played in 56% of their triumphs. Of the players in this article, it's Giggs who has been subbed off the most, 134, with Theo Walcott, 168, Aaron Lennon, 141, and David Silva, 137, the only ones to have seen their number raised more often. It means Giggs only ranks 4th when it comes to minutes played, 46,437. Number 2. James Milner. 634 Premier League appearances. James Milner is the only active player to rank in the top 20 for most Premier League appearances. A former teammate of Frank Lampard's at Manchester City, Milner overtook his old colleague in April 2023 with an 11-minute cameo in Liverpool's 0-0 draw against Chelsea. He then leapfrogged Ryan Giggs into outright second place when he started for Brighton against Wolves in January 2024. If you think of some of the iconic Premier League moments since November 2002, there's a good chance Milner has been a part of them. He was part of the Leeds United team that suffered a 5-0 defeat at the hands of Arsenal to start the downward spiral that saw them relegated from the top flight. And after spells with Newcastle United and Aston Villa, he was part of the Manchester City side that won the title in dramatic Aguero fashion before winding up as part of Jurgen Klopp's revolution at Anfield. Uniquely, Milner has been substituted on the most times in Premier League history, 204, ahead of the likes of Peter Crouch and Shane Long, both 158, Jermain Defoe, 149, and Shola Amiabai, 142. As you might have expected, the 24 instances of Milner coming on from the bench in the 2022-23 season was the most of his career as age began to limit his involvement a little more. Nevertheless, he showed enough to earn a free transfer to Brighton for the 2023-24 campaign, meaning Milner's quest to break Barry's all-time appearances record is still alive. With his appearance on the opening day of the 2023-24 campaign versus Luton Town, Milner equaled Giggs' record of playing a game in 22 different Premier League seasons. And number 1. Gareth Barry. 653 Premier League appearances. When Gareth Barry came on as a 49th-minute substitute for Aston Villa on May 2, 1998 against Sheffield Wednesday, little did we know that over 20 years later he would still be plying his trade as a professional footballer. Granted, the final 2 years of his career were played in the second tier, but by then Barry had already set the mark for most Premier League appearances at 653. Barry's Premier League debut may have come even earlier, as he'd been named on the bench nearly a month prior against West Ham United but didn't come on. In fact, a Barry substitute appearance was a rare occurrence. He made 618 starts during his Premier League career, enough for a healthy 94.6% start rate. Unsurprisingly, Barry holds the record for the most minutes played by a Premier League player, 54,439. Despite playing for the likes of Aston Villa, Manchester City, Everton and West Brom during his Premier League career, Barry does not feature in the top 10 for the number of games won. However, he tops the list for draws, 193, and nil-nil draws, 64, and is second only to Mark Schwarzer for most defeats, 198. A solid and dependable midfielder, who made 53 appearances for England, Barry christened his 600th appearance in the Premier League with a strike for Everton against Arsenal, the 52nd league goal of his career. One final goal would follow against Manchester United, the side he lost more to, 24 times, than any other during his Premier League career before an injury derailed his 2017-18 season, ending in West Brom's relegation to the Championship. Respect for Gareth Barry.